About 2 months ago, I took delivery of my 2017 Audi S3. Since then, I've taken it on road trips, I've driven it around town a bunch. I put over 2,000 miles on it, actually now just about 3,000 miles. So I figured now was a good time to go over some of the things that I hate or that I dislike or I wish were a little bit better on this car. Following this video in the very near future, I will also be doing a video discussing a few of the things I love about this car, so stay tuned for that. But these aren't necessarily things I hate for the most part, they're just little things that I wish were better about the car, or I wish that Audi had done a little bit differently. So without further ado, let's go ahead, get into it. The first couple things that I don't like about this car are kind of technology related, and it's not that I don't like them, it's just I wish that they were better. The first one being lane keep assist. So this car has lane keep assist, which honestly I've only used a handful of times. Because it's not very good. So this is a 2017, so I'm sure newer Audis have improved this. This is, you know, around the time that having a feature like this was not very common at all. But the lane keep assist is activated. Let's see, start the car here. The lane keep assist is activated by pressing this button on the stock here. You can see the lanes, and when you do that, you'll notice the little lanes pop up. So when you're driving on the highway or on an actual road, those will light up green when it identifies the two lanes. And when you're using it, it's usually not very good about staying straight in the lanes. It usually tends to bounce from side to side, I've noticed. Especially if you're like in the far left lane, so this lane line is solid and this one is dashed. It tends to bias towards the solid one. So I don't really use it too often. It's good for when you're driving straight, and you know, in some cases it's really hit or miss from what I've noticed, dependent on the road. But I do wish that was a little bit better, and for that reason I don't really ever use it. And I'm sure the Saab purists, all you guys that didn't like that I bought this car, probably licking your chops at this video saying like, oh, he's gonna say it's not a Saab or all these other things. And no, that's not true. I do very, very much love this car. If I haven't made that very clear already. But the second thing I don't really like, or that I wish was a little bit better, were the front parking sensors. So this car has a backup camera, it has rear parking sensors, but it also has front parking sensors. And this is useful, especially when I'm pulling into the garage, because I have tool benches probably about 12 inches from where I park. Not that I'm ever gonna hit them, and I haven't hit anything trying to pull into a parking space or anything, but they're not the best at picking up curbs. Like this curb right here is probably about 6 inches high, so it would pick up a curb like this if I were pulling into this curb to park. But if you're parking on a lower curb, it's not gonna pick it up. And I'm always someone, especially with my 9.3 as well, that's a little bit paranoid about hitting my front bumper on a curb. So I'm always very careful to not do that. So if these parking sensors were just a little bit better and it worked all the time, it's a little bit inconsistent with that. I've seen other S3 owners complain about this too, or just A3 owners in general, that the front parking sensors are kind of hit and miss when it comes to picking up curbs and whatnot. The third thing about this car that I don't like or wish was better, and I've really noticed this on my road trips, and that is the fact that it's only a 6-speed. So 2015 to 2017 S3s came with a 6-speed dual clutch transmission. In 2018 they upgraded it to a 7-speed, so the gearing is probably a lot better. The gearing itself is not bad, I just wish that 6th gear wasn't so short, meaning that if I'm cruising on the highway 80 miles per hour, I'm doing about 3,000 RPM. I do wish that the cruising speed, you know, when you're at 80 miles an hour on the freeway, was not so high. It would probably help my gas mileage. My gas mileage isn't bad, I get about 25 mpg. But besides that, I love the gearing. You know, you hit 60 at the end of 2nd gear, which is ideal in my opinion. 3rd gear is a little bit shorter than 3rd gear in my 9.3, but that makes sense because that's only a 5-speed. But yeah, besides that, I absolutely love the transmission. It's just I wish the gearing was a little bit different, so it wasn't sitting so high when I'm cruising on the freeway. The fourth thing I wish was better about this car, and this is entirely dependent on my specific car, and that is the wheels. So these are not the premium wheels. They're 18-inch wheels, so they're not, you know, small or bad by any means. I've seen some worse looking wheels come on S3s, trust me. But they aren't the wheels that I would have loved to have. A lot of the other S3s I looked at had these wheels on the screen right here. and I think those are easily the best wheels that came on the S3. They're 19s. They make the car look so much more aggressive, and they just, yeah. So if Carvana didn't put brand new tires on this thing before I bought it, I probably would have already bought those exact wheels, but probably as these tires start to wear down, I'll look into getting some new wheels. I mean, for now, these are good, and I've grown to like them more over time, but when I first got the car, that was one of the things that I definitely initially didn't like. It doesn't make it look as aggressive as it should. They're kind of bland wheels. I mean, I do like 5 spokes, and they do have these kind of indentations and cutouts here. Excuse me, the car's a little bit dirty. There's some hard water on it. It's not bad, but again, it could be better, especially from factory. And there were better factory options, and I just kind of happened to get an S3 that didn't have the premium wheels on it. And you'll notice with a lot of these things, I'm really trying to nitpick. And these last couple ones, I'm also really nitpicking, because there's just so much that I love about this car, and I'm gonna try and keep it short for that video. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to number 5, which are brakes. So a lot of the cars that I looked at and test drove kind of in this price range with this sort of performance had bigger brakes. Now, when I first test drove an S3, the brakes were actually better than all the other cars I also test drove, like the Kia Stinger, the BMW 340i, the Volvo S60, and just all those other cars. But a lot of those cars, with the exception of the Volvo, had 4-piston brakes. So these are not 4-piston brakes. You can see they do have a little S badge on them though, which is really cool. I do like that touch. So they're not 4-piston brakes, which at the end of the day though, these brakes, like I said, stop better, or at the very least just as well as those other cars that had the 4-piston brakes. So Audi did a very good job engineering these calipers and brakes to stop on a dime. I mean, this car stops extremely well for not having 4-piston brakes, but that would be something that I would have liked to have had. The RS3 comes with 6-piston brakes, which looks super sick, but that's an entirely different range of cars. So last thing I don't like about this car, and this is probably the one that I deal with most frequently, and that I've had other people kind of tell me about, is that this car does not have a touchscreen. So that's one of the reasons, or one of the things where this car sort of shows its age, is that the center screen here is not a touchscreen. It's controlled by this dial down here. You can see you have your menu and all these other options. This can move around. You have a ton of buttons. These are all very high quality buttons, but at the end of the day, it's not a touchscreen. So it's all controlled through here. One thing that's cool though is if you do ever need to put an address, I have Apple CarPlay, so I just use that. But if you do need to ever type an address, you can like write the letters on this pad, and you can kind of spell out the address, or you can obviously use voice control. But the fact that this is not a touchscreen is a little bit of a downside. I do wish it were a touchscreen, but again, that's just part of the reason where this car shows its age just a little bit. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Those are just 6 things I hate, or more so I dislike or wish were better about my 2017 Audi S3s. Let me know down below in the comments which one of these bugs you the most out of all of them. For me, I think it's probably the fact that there's not a touchscreen. Maybe I should have mentioned that earlier in the video instead of saving that one for last. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Again, stay tuned for my very near future video where I'm going to be talking about the things that I love about this car, because I do truly love this car, have no regret buying it. So yeah, but with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.